We live in the most connected era of human history. 1,000 voices in your pocket, 100 friends online, notifications buzzing like proof that you matter. And yet, behind all this noise, silence grows. Because connection isn't the same as closeness. And in the age of constant contact, we've never felt more alone. Think about it. You can send a message across the world in less than a second. You can scroll through the lives of strangers at 3 a.m. You can broadcast your thoughts to hundreds with a single post. But how often does any of it make you feel seen? Not watched, not liked, seen. That's the paradox of modern life. Surrounded by connections, starved of intimacy. Surrounded by people, but aching for presence. The world tells us we're living in a golden age of belonging. But deep down, many of us know the truth. We are lonelier than ever. And the cruel part is, loneliness today hides itself well. You go to work, you smile at friends, you share photos of vacations. From the outside, it looks like you're thriving. But when the lights go out and the screens go dark, the silence hits. Heavy, suffocating, undeniable. This is the epidemic nobody wants to talk about. Not a virus, not a plague, a quiet emptiness spreading in a world that promised us connection. Chapter 2, Alone in a Crowd. Loneliness isn't about being alone, it's about being unseen. You can stand in a crowded room surrounded by laughter, conversation, the hum of life, and still feel invisible. Because loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of connection. Think about the last time you sat with friends but felt disconnected, like you were watching life from behind a glass wall. You nodded, you smiled, you played your part. But inside, there was silence. That's loneliness. It's not measured in empty chairs. It's measured in the gap between presence and intimacy. And it happens in relationships too. Some of the loneliest people in the world share a bed every night. They go through routines, exchange polite words, maybe even hold hands out of habit. But the spark is gone. The listening is gone. The being known is gone. Loneliness inside love is the cruelest kind, because it makes you question everything. If I can't be seen here, with the person closest to me, where can I ever be seen? This is why loneliness cuts so deeply, because it doesn't whisper, "You are alone." It screams, "You don't matter." And no amount of small talk, background noise, or surface interaction can drown it out. In a world full of people, the hardest truth is this: the crowd doesn't cure loneliness. Sometimes, the crowd amplifies it. Chapter 3, The Digital Illusion of Belonging. Social media promised us belonging, a global village, a constant stream of friends, likes, followers, proof that we're not forgotten, proof that we matter. But the truth? It gave us the illusion of closeness without the substance of connection. Every scroll delivers highlight reels of other people's lives. Smiles, vacations, anniversaries, carefully curated moments meant to impress. And yet, the more we consume, the emptier we feel. Because comparison kills belonging. Instead of feeling connected, we feel excluded. Instead of closeness, we feel distance. Even our own posts are part of the illusion. You share a photo, and the likes roll in. For a moment, dopamine floods your brain. You feel validated, seen. But when the screen goes dark, the loneliness returns. Heavier this time, because you know the truth. They liked the picture, not you. This is why the digital world doesn't heal loneliness. It amplifies it. It gives us constant stimulation, but no depth. Constant contact, but no presence. It tricks us into thinking connection is about visibility, when real connection is about vulnerability. And vulnerability doesn't live online. It lives in quiet conversations, in unfiltered moments, in the courage to be raw, messy, uncurated, none of which survive well on a screen. The digital world gave us connection in quantity, but it stole connection in quality. And that trade has left us more visible and more lonely than ever before. Chapter 4: The Silent Health Crisis. Loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally, it scars the body. Scientists now call it as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, more dangerous than obesity. Because loneliness isn't just in your mind, it rewires your biology. When you feel isolated, your body goes into survival mode. Stress hormones rise, your immune system weakens, sleep becomes restless, your heart works harder. Bit by bit, the body interprets disconnection as danger, and it stays on high alert. That constant tension wears you down. Mentally, the toll is just as heavy. Anxiety, depression, cognitive decline, the feeling that life has lost color, and the cruelest part? Loneliness convinces you it's your fault, that you're unworthy of love, unworthy of company, unworthy of care. So you withdraw even further, deepening the cycle. This is why loneliness is an epidemic. It hides behind closed doors. It doesn't make headlines because it doesn't explode. It erodes, quietly, invisibly, until millions of people are carrying wounds no one else can see, and society doesn't know how to treat it. We prescribe medication, but not community. We recommend mindfulness, but not friendship. We tell people to get out more, without understanding that loneliness isn't solved by crowds. It's solved by connection. The silent health crisis isn't that people are dying of loneliness. It's that they're living with it, day after day, year after year, and no one notices. Chapter 5: The Death of Community. Human beings were never built to live alone. For most of history, we lived in tribes, villages, neighborhoods, where everyone knew your name, your story, your family. You weren't just an individual, you were part of something bigger. Community wasn't optional, it was survival. But modern life dismantled that. We traded villages for cities, neighbors for strangers, shared stories for private screens. Families spread out. Churches, clubs, town squares, the places where connection grew, faded away. And with them, a sense of belonging disappeared. Now, we measure success by independence. We celebrate the person who needs no one. But beneath the surface, independence often means isolation. We work alone. We commute alone. We return to apartments where we don't know the people next door. And it's not just geography, it's culture. We've replaced community with convenience. Instead of borrowing sugar from a neighbor, we order it online. Instead of gathering to share news, we refresh a feed. Instead of talking face-to-face, we text. Every shortcut saves time and steals connection. The result is a silent grief. We may not mourn the loss of tribes and villages openly, but our bodies and hearts still crave them. Loneliness isn't just personal, it's cultural. It's the cost of a society that forgot the difference between living together and truly belonging together. Chapter 6: Loneliness in Love. The cruelest form of loneliness isn't being single. It's being unseen in love. Sharing a bed, a home, a life, yet feeling invisible to the person closest to you. That's a kind of emptiness that cuts deeper than solitude. Because when you're alone, at least you know why you're lonely. But when you're in a relationship and still feel it, that's when doubt poisons everything. If they can't see me, who will? If I'm invisible here, where am I visible at all? It starts quietly. Conversations shrink into logistics. Bills, schedules, chores. The laughter fades. The touches become routine. You're still together, but the connection has withered into coexistence. And here's the harsh truth. Loneliness inside love often hurts more than breakups. Because you can't grieve something that's already gone. You grieve something that's still right beside you, breathing but unreachable. This is why so many people feel most alone, not in singlehood, but in marriage. They believed love would protect them from loneliness, only to discover that neglect builds walls thicker than absence. And the danger is this: when intimacy dies, people don't always leave. Sometimes they stay, they endure, they live out decades in polite distance, convincing themselves it's normal. But inside, they are starving. Loneliness in love isn't the absence of a partner. It's the absence of presence, and without presence, the heart begins to fade, even while the relationship still looks alive from the outside. Final chapter: rebuilding connection. If loneliness is the epidemic of our time, connection is the cure. But not the shallow kind. Not likes, not followers, not small talk. Real connection. The kind built on presence, vulnerability, and effort. It starts small. Looking someone in the eyes instead of at a screen. Asking a question and really listening to the answer. Choosing to show up, not just physically, but emotionally. These are the seeds of belonging. Communities can be rebuilt, not as grand villages, but as chosen circles. A few close friends who see you, who know you, who remind you that you matter. Families, whether blood or chosen, who carry each other through silence. Partners who don't just share space, but share hearts. And connection doesn't mean constant contact. It means depth. One real conversation can heal more loneliness than 1,000 notifications. One moment of being truly seen can feel louder than a crowd. The epidemic of loneliness thrives on passivity, on waiting for someone else to notice, someone else to reach out. But connection grows when we choose to act, to risk vulnerability, to open ourselves first. The truth is, loneliness may be everywhere, but so is the chance to connect. It's not about finding hundreds of people. It's about finding a few and choosing them over and over again. Because at the end of the day, love, friendship, community, they're not accidents. They're choices. And those choices are the only antidote to loneliness. If you've ever felt this kind of loneliness, the kind that hides behind smiles, behind routines, behind the noise of daily life, you're not alone. This is the epidemic of our time, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. Connection begins with a single step, a message, a phone call, a moment of presence. It begins with you deciding that silence isn't enough. So here's my challenge. Don't just watch this and scroll away. Share this with someone you care about. Leave a comment with the word "seen" if you've ever felt invisible in a world full of people. Because the truth is, when we name it, when we admit it, when we speak it out loud, loneliness loses some of its power. And if nothing else, remember this: you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not alone. Not here. Not now. Not anymore.